this is for you emotionally volatile people. We're gonna get #depressed. It's heartbreaking and that's life, baby. Hey, what's up you guys? It's Avery and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who have never been here before, welcome, glad you're here. I'm so excited about today's video. I've been wanting to make this video for like a really long time and I just haven't. I think it's because I've read books recently that like really go with the video, and so that's why I'm able to do it now. But in today's video, I'm going to be recommending you books based off of Taylor Swift songs. I'm a big Swiftie, been a big Swiftie for a long time. I became a Swiftie my freshman year of high school, so kind of late to the game, to be honest. It was like a year after 1989 was released, and so I became obsessed with Taylor Swift and all of her music, and then she disappeared, as we know, as we respect, and so she didn't go on tour for like ever, and then she finally rolled back up on the scene with Reputation, which was just groundbreaking. I went to that show with my sister. It was awesome. And I just have been a big fan ever since. So I love Taylor Swift and I love books. So the two have to be connected, right? So in this video, I am going to be talking about a Taylor Swift song and then recommending a book that goes with that song. It either goes with the vibe of the song, or the character reminds me of something in the song, or the plot, or just something about the song and the book are just like, they just go together. They just mesh. There's going to be a lot of diversity of songs and books in this video. For books, I have some classics. I have some adult fiction. I have a YA story or two. And just something for everybody. I'm also going to be reading a specific lyric or lyrics that really goes with the book as well. Because sometimes the entire song doesn't exactly match the book, but there's like a specific lyric or a specific chunk that's just like, yes, yes. We're gonna begin with Ivy off of Evermore. So the book that I chose for Ivy is The Bridges of Madison County by Robert Waller. So if you know Ivy, you know that Ivy is about somebody who is in a marriage and not happy, and they meet somebody else who really makes their life meaningful again. And that is basically the entire premise of this book. This book is about a man named Robert Kincaid, who's a photographer for National Geographic, and he goes on an assignment to take pictures of these covered bridges in Madison County, Iowa. There he meets Francesca Johnson, a farm wife waiting for the fulfillment of a girlhood dream. And the two of them basically fall in love and have a very passionate affair for a period of time, but Francesca is married and kind of stuck in this life, and they just have this love, and it's like the song in a book. It really is. This is a great book. It has lots of really nice descriptions of like scenery, but also like feelings and emotions. It's very evocative. And it's also a pretty short book, which is nice. You could read it pretty quickly. So the lyrics that I chose to go really, really well with this story are, I'd live and die for moments that we stole on begged and borrowed time, so tell me to run. That's just like the story, literally. So good. If you're a fan of Ivy, you will be a fan of this book, I promise. Okay, next up we have Innocent off of Speak Now. I love the song. I do love that it is written about Kanye West, where she's basically calling him a child. This song is so good. It's about the fact that you can always start over, and that you can be young and dumb, but you still can be innocent if you start over and try your hardest. And so for this, I have a little bit of classic literature. It's a pretty short one. For y'all. Don't worry, I'm not gonna give you like War and Peace, but I have Daisy Miller by Henry James. I just read this a few weeks ago and I really enjoyed it. It's a very short classic novel about a young American woman named Daisy Miller who is visiting Europe with her family in 1877. There she meets a young man named Winterbourne, and he becomes very much like in love with her, and Daisy's into him also, but she's just like this free spirit, and she is kind of looked down on in society because she kind of doesn't really care what anyone says, and she's like, I'm gonna do what I want even if it's like scandalous. But Winterbourne really like cares about her and kind of makes excuses for her, and it's just a really nice commentary on like what manners were like at that time and like what women were like and how they were perceived when they didn't care about those manners. And so in my head, the song Innocent would be like Winterbourne singing that to Daisy, because she does some things that end up not being so great, but Winterbourne like still wants to look out for her. So the lyrics I chose for this one are, your string of lights is still bright to me, who you are is not where you've been, you're still an innocent. Next up we have Happiness, one of the saddest songs she's ever written. When Evermore was released, I had recently gone through a breakup, and I listened to this song for the first time and it was like game over for me. Game over. I'm sure like every other person in existence has had the same experience, but I was like I checked out at that moment. The song is so good. It's very hopeful, even though it's also very sad. So the book that I chose for this one is Less by Andrew Sean Greer. And I actually just read this in my video where I was in a reading slump, and it pulled me out of the reading slump. It was so good. But this story follows a man named Arthur Less, who has just recently gotten out of a relationship that he was in for like 8 or 9 years, and he is very sad about it because he finds out that the man that he was in the relationship with is getting married. And so he doesn't want to go to the wedding because like, no, but he also doesn't not want to go to the wedding because he feels like that'll make him look pathetic. And so he decides to accept a bunch of invitations to these literary events that he's been invited to all over the world. So he goes all around the world. He goes to New York, Mexico, Italy, Germany, Morocco, India. So it's a really fun story about him having these funny experiences in each place, but throughout it he's like grieving the death of that relationship, as well as another relationship in his past that greatly impacted him. And so that's why Happiness really goes with this, is because he is like so heartbroken, but he's also like looking back and reflecting on this relationship. The lyric that I chose for this song that really goes with this book is, I can't make it go away by making you a villain. I guess it's the price I paid for 7 years in heaven. That literally perfectly encapsulates the relationship and what Les is going through. Plus, it's got a really hopeful, great ending, this book does. While the song is depressing but hopeful, the book is the same way. Also, it was a winner of the Pulitzer, so it's a very well done book. Okay, next up we have Enchanted, one of the most iconic songs in existence. Yes. This song is about meeting somebody and it's like, ugh, love at first sight. I'm so enchanted by you. I feel like we've had that experience all at least once in our lives where we meet a person and it's like, I'm obsessed with you. If you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, like, I'm going to die. That is just the universal experience. The book that I chose for this one is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. The song Enchanted is like so magical, and this book is like so magical. So it kind of like, those vibes just transfer. The Night Circus is about a magical circus that arrives in towns without warning. One day a town will wake up and there will be this magical circus that is camped out in their town. And behind the scenes of this circus, a fierce competition is underway, a duel between two young magicians, Celia and Marco, who have been trained since childhood. Unbeknownst to them, it's a game where only one of them can be left standing. They're in this battle, but unfortunately, but fortunately, they tumble headfirst into love with each other. A deep, magical love that makes the lights flicker and the room grow warm whenever they so much as brush hands. Enchanting, enchanting. This book is written so beautifully. It really just makes you like yearn for it to be fall time, for there to be a magical circus, for you to be in love. It is such a wonderfully written book, and it really is enchanting. Like, it's enchanting, and that's why I chose the song for it. So the lyrics I chose for this one are, this night is sparkling, don't you let it go. I'm wonderstruck, blushing all the way home. I'll spend forever wondering if you knew I was enchanted to meet you. Next up, we are going to get depressed. That was a hashtag. we're gonna get hashtag depressed. The next song I have is Soon You'll Get Better off of the Lover album. This song is horrible and beautiful at the same time. Horrible in that like I can't listen to it because I will just be a horrible mess, but beautiful in that like she really captured every emotion that you could feel in this situation. So this song is a song that Taylor wrote about her mother who has suffered with cancer for a long time, and it's so heartbreaking. Like it's so sad, but it's also beautiful. So the book that I chose for this is Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. Literally, if this book could be a song, it's Soon You'll Get Better. Like to a T. It was so hard trying to pick one set of lyrics for this book because it's like the entire song is this book. Crying in H Mart is a memoir by Michelle Zauner, whose mother died when she was 25 years old. And it is about her seeing her mom go through chemo and suffer through cancer until the very last day of her life. Michelle trying to come to grips with what the world is like without her mom, as well as it also talks about her Korean American identity because her mom is Korean, and so when her mom dies, she's like, I don't know, how this is impacting my identity. Like her mom was such a big tie to her, but also her best friend. It's such a heartbreaking memoir. Like I sobbed through it. The song will make you sob. The memoir will make you sob. Really, this is for you emotionally volatile people. I mean, I'm with you. I'm right there. I literally could pick any lyrics, but the ones I chose was, and I hate to make this all about me, but who am I supposed to talk to? What am I supposed to do if there's no you? Taylor really wrote that. Like she really wrote that and then released that to us. Insane. Okay, next up we have Miss All Too Well. The song of the century, of the entire existence of planet Earth, maybe. Now, this you could choose either the 5-minute version or the 10-minute version. It doesn't really matter. They're both just like epically heartbreaking. But I think for this one I'm just going to choose like the 5-minute version because the 10-minute version really goes into like more specific details to Taylor, so it's a little harder to like narrow that down to a book, whereas All Too Well is a little more broad. And for this, we're kicking it off with some classic literature, okay? Another classic, and that is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I love Sense and Sensibility so much. It's the first Jane Austen book that I ever read. So Sense and Sensibility is about two sisters named Eleanor and Marianne Dashwood during the Regency era, and their father just died, leaving them pretty broke. Them and their mother and other sister are pretty broke, and they are just both trying to figure out life and love. And Eleanor is very sensible and very like practical when it comes to love, and Marianne is a little bit younger and a little more rash, a little more brazen, just a little more bold in love. I chose these lyrics in this song based off of one couple in the book. I'm not gonna tell you who. I don't want to spoil. Okay, I'm gonna put the couple name right here. Close your eyes in 3 seconds, just for a split sec. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can open your eyes. So that is the couple that I'm associating this song with. I am going to read the lyrics that really go with it. There's actually 2 sets of lyrics because, I don't know, I can do what I want. It's my video. The first one is, your sweet disposition and my wide-eyed gaze, we're singing in the car, getting lost upstate. So if you know who I'm talking about, then you know exactly why those lyrics just perfectly go. I mean, substitute out car for carriage, but same deal. And then the next set is, time won't fly, it's like I'm paralyzed by it, I'd like to be my old self again, but I'm still trying to find it. Those lyrics perfectly describe you-know-who after she deals with you-know-who. And it's heartbreaking, and that's life, baby. Alright, next up we have 15. I know some people are like ride or die. Love this song, and I like this song. Did I jam to it on my 15th birthday? Hell yeah, I did. You best believe me, my sister, and my mom jammed to that song on the way to school when I turned 15. Me and my sister, we're twins. So I love it for that. And the book that I chose for this song is The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Guys, I'm sure you've seen this movie because the movie is iconic. It has Miss Blake Lively in it, and she is an icon. But the books are so good. It's a whole series. There's 4 of them, and then there's low-key another one that takes place many years after the original 4. But these books are so good. They're so much better than the movies, and I love the movies. Like, I love both of the movies. I cannot wait to have a teenage daughter and to just like shove them at her and say, read these immediately. If you don't know what this book series is, it follows 4 best friends. I think the first one begins when they are 15, which is like perfect. This song is about growing up, about being young, about falling in love when you're a teenager, and then realizing, oh shoot, like maybe they weren't the best thing since sliced bread. That is what these girls deal with. They all go on different adventures over the summer. So these 4 best friends are all inseparable, but this is the first summer that they are going to spend apart from each other since they've been born. So they find this pair of magical pants that happens to fit all 4 of them, which is one of the most unrealistic things that I've ever read because they all have extremely different body types, but whatever, suspension of disbelief, that's why it's magical. So they ship the pants to each other while they're on their different adventures. One of them's in Greece, one of them is in Mexico, one of them is in the same hometown where they grew up, one of them is in South Carolina, I believe. And they're all going through their own things, but they're all there for each other at the end of the day. And that's what I love about this book. The lyrics that I chose to really just go with this are, back then I swore I was going to marry him someday, but I realized some bigger dreams of mine. And Abigail gave everything she had to a boy who changed his mind, and we both cried. So some of those themes are in the book, but then really the "and we both cried" is kind of the main lyric to take away, because these girls are just best friends and they all are there for each other and cry for each other, and I love it, I love it, I love it. All right, next up we have Clean, which is probably one of my top 5 favorite Taylor Swift songs of all time. The production is so good, the harmonies are so good, the message is so good. It's almost a perfect song, I would say. For this, I chose It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. So this book follows a woman named Lily who begins a relationship with a man named Ryle, who is seemingly amazing, but things in their relationship begin to get tumultuous. She also runs into the first boy she ever loved named Atlas at the same time that she's dating Ryle, and it causes a lot of issues for her and her relationship with Ryle, and so it's wild. This book is not just your average love triangle story. It's so much more deep and complex than that. I will give a trigger warning for domestic abuse and sexual assault because there are some really heavy things that happen in this book to Lily, and I think Clean perfectly goes with all the things that Lily was feeling towards a specific character in this book. This was another one where like all of the lyrics literally work, but I chose, when the flowers that we'd grown together died of thirst, it was months and months of back and forth, you're still all over me like a wine-stained dress I can't wear anymore. And if you know, you know that these lyrics just, perfect, perfect. Okay, next up we have Untouchable, which this song is so good. And if you didn't know, here's a little bit of trivia. I don't know if all Swifties, I mean, I'm sure diehard Swifties know this, but I remember when I found out, I was like, what? Untouchable is actually a cover of a like super hardcore rock song from a band called Luna Halo. It sounds so different from the cover, but both versions are really good. I actually really like the original band's version. Taylor's version is just different. It's more sweet. For this book, I decided to choose a little YA fantasy moment for you guys, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. And I haven't talked about this book in a while, which is surprising because I was obsessed with it when I read it last year. But this is a book about a guy named Laszlo. He is obsessed with this lost city called Weep, and he has been studying it for years and really wants to go to this lost city. And one day, a group of warriors from the lost city come to the library where he works and is like, hey guys, we need people to come to Weep with us because we have a problem. and we need y'all to help. So Laszlo's like, you best believe I'll be there. And they have a really interesting problem happening in their city, which I'm not going to spoil for you because that's kind of a big part of the book. When Laszlo arrives, he starts dreaming of this blue-skinned girl named Sarai. And he falls in love with Sarai, and she is connected to this overall thing that's happening in the city of Weep, and you're just trying to figure out what's going on. So it's a wonderful book. The writing and world building of this book is so incredible, and Laszlo and Sarai's relationship is just like, this is another song that's just like perfect in every way for this book and for this relationship, so it was hard to pick, but I chose In the Middle of the Night When I'm in This Dream, it's like a million little stars spelling out your name. You gotta come on, say that we'll be together, come on, a little taste of heaven. And there's so many like nuanced reasons why those lyrics just fit this book so well. So if you've read the book, you'll know. Okay, we have made it to our 10th song. Oh my gosh, crazy. We are kind of ending on a depressing note, so sorry about that. But for this, I have Forever Winter. For this, I have a last YA book, and it is All the Bright Places. And you might be like, Avery, you chose a few YA books, and I'm like, that's true, but you know what? Taylor Swift was YA for like a lot of her career, and that's why her songs really, I feel like, capture the angst of what it is like to be a young adult and what so many of these young adult books do. So this book is about Theodore Finch and Violet Markey. So Theodore is fascinated by death, and he constantly thinks of ways he might kill himself, but each time something good, no matter how small, stops him. Violet Markey lives for the future, counting the days until graduation when she can escape her town and her aching grief in the wake of her sister's recent death. So when the two of them meet on the ledge of a bell tower at school, it's unclear who saves whom. Then they pair up for a project together where they have to drive around their state and find things, I can't remember. But they begin to fall in love. But Theodore is still going through really tough mental health problems, which Violet isn't completely aware of and doesn't quite understand. It's about their relationship, and it's about Theo's really volatile mental health, and I will give a trigger warning for suicide and suicidal ideation because this book definitely covers those topics. It's very heartbreaking, just like the song Forever Winter, but this is another one where like almost all of the lyrics of Forever Winter were like exactly Violet and Finch's relationship. It's like Violet is singing the song to Finch. But the ones that I did choose were, if I was standing there in your apartment, I'd take that bomb in your head and disarm it. I'd say I love you even at your darkest, and please don't go. Ugh, so good, so good. You've made it through the whole video. Those were my 10 books inspired by songs from Taylor Swift. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have read any of these books and feel like they go with the song that I said, let me know in the comment. If you have any other books that you feel like go with the songs that I mentioned or vice versa, let me know because I would love to hear it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm just now realizing maybe I should have chose 13 songs. It's too late for that now. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. It's sparkling, don't you let it go. I'm wonderstruck. This was a concert you didn't realize you were attending.